themselves, and they were the ones who contacted the Draco. So it's been a long, long time coming. We're talking 500 years of history to develop all this tech.
Yeah, but I can't understand, if they had this technology, even going back, why would Germany at that point lost the war? I mean, there's been so much talk about that, the Nazi Bell, UFOs, all this stuff that, Germany was developing. But if they had this to help, or technology, it was going on, I just don't understand how they could have lost the war.
Well, number one, Hitler was a really bad general.
A private, actually. Or a corporal. Corporal, really.
He was corporal. He was really bad as a general. Number two, he had too many fronts going on at once. If he had had just the Western Front or just the Eastern Front, he probably would have won. Number three, when the aristocracy figured out they were going to lose because the Allies were bombing the infrastructure in Germany, they went to Antarctica. Number four, they had real problems attaching weapons to the ships. The Hannibal, it took so long to figure out how to hold a weapon steady on a spinning ship. You can be handed a steady state cell phone, but if you're in a blacksmith technology, you can't duplicate it. It takes you a while to figure out how to do it. And they were in the figuring out how to do it while they were being bombed. And they were working on several projects at once. Rockets were, the V-2 rockets were being used to protect Germany, and they were working on nuclear weapons, and it was the German nuclear bombs that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They had been captured and used. And the Germans had moved the Hannibal to Antarctica. And it took until 1947 to be able to stabilize the weapons. It doesn't do a lot of good to have a spaceship if you can't fire back.
No, it's no protection at all there. Yeah, I can see that one. It makes a logical sense because, I mean, if you run into hostiles, I mean, you have no way to defend yourself.
Exactly. And they had a real problem with radiation, too, because the whole first generation of the Hannibal ship crews all died miserable deaths from radiation sickness. It took them a long time to figure out shielding.
Interesting. So when did we actually go to Mars and start creating the bases?
Well, I don't know exactly when the Germans got, but I know they had a functioning base that was starting a colony in 1964. So I would say at least 4 or 5 years before that. And they did go to the moon first. And I was in one of the first jumps through the New York jump gate. So my trips to and from Mars were through the jump gate. I was not taken there in a ship.
Now, when you went through the jump gate, that gives me another question to ask you. What did it feel like when you made the jump?
Queasy. It felt like the floor had fallen out from under me, and I was hanging in midair, and the walls were transparent and shimmering, and it felt like they were going to reach out and grab me. But I had already been through the time tunnel at Montauk, and the walls there do grab you.
In what way?
It's like a static electric charge that wiggles. And in the time tunnel, those waves will reach and grab you and pull you out of the tunnel. You have to focus on your target and avoid being hit by those things.
Wow. So we're almost out of time here. I got to ask you some more questions here. Are we still in major battles right now with the Space Force, with these aliens? I mean,
yes.
Is there a chance we could end up losing the war?
Yes.
And these aliens that we are in a war with, what would they do to Earth?
Well, because we are still considered a child race, Earth itself is protected, but the rest of these and bases would be destroyed.
Interesting. Now, are we winning these wars, or is this a stalemate?
It's kind of a stalemate, except that we've come to the attention of the Galactic Police, and they're not real happy. And they have been sending our ships and colonies back to the solar system.
Okay. Wow.
That has been what some people have interpreted as a rebel alliance. It's not possible to rebel out there. They've got your mind. They've got a chip in your brain. They'll blow you up if you rebel. You have no option of rebelling. But what we're seeing is the Galactic Police sending us home, and they think it's a rebel alliance.
Interesting. So, what do you think is going to happen, though? I mean, in the near future? And what do you think is going to happen with you going to these seminars, going on Facebook, going on shows and talking about it? I mean, it's still, you know, I guess being in the light maybe protects you, but I mean, gee, I mean, you're really risking a lot.
Personally, I figure I'm 63, and it's better that I speak out than some of these younger people who have a lot more to lose. I've already raised my kids, lived a complicated life, and if I can expose this enough that they stop taking new children, it will have been worth it to me. That's my ultimate goal, is to stop the initial kidnapping and mind fracture. We don't do anything out there that can't be done by consenting adults.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I just can't see why they would go through the mind and the torture and all this stuff when I'm sure they could recruit enough adults to, you know, do what they're bidding for them. Seriously.
Well, they want it all secret. They were keeping this more secret than they were the H-bomb. And then some of us started talking. And I'm not the first, and I won't be the last. I mean, Michael Ralph talked about it. Bill Cooper talked about it. These were all before the Internet.
Wow.
You know, people have been talking about this since the 60s. Whenever it was getting started, people were being sent back and remembering, or had enough bad things happening that they started doing the regression hypnosis. There have been people talking for a long time, and the public hasn't been listening.
Wow. How many seminars a year do you go to normally and talk about this?
I went to 2 last year. I'm only scheduled for 1 this year. I'm on Social Security disability. I don't have the money to go globetrotting. If somebody wanted to pay my way, I would be happy to go, but I'm not on Gaia TV or the big names, but I'm speaking where people will listen.
Now, I'm just wondering, after they return, why don't they compensate the people that are returned? I mean, you gave how many years of your life? And
that's one of the questions we have is they told me while I was gone that I was U.S. Navy, that I was a second lieutenant. I was gone for 55 years. What kind of pay do they owe me? And that's just for one of the altars.
Yeah.
I would like to just have the DD 214 that says I was really there, so that people don't think I'm crazy.
Have you requested any of this stuff under the information, Freedom Information Act?
I've been debating it because that would be like red flag. I have the one place that I have asked was with the NSA agent. I said, I'm not doing anything else until I have proof I was really there.
And what did they say?
They haven't returned my messages.
Wow. Now, hey, our time is virtually up. How can people find you on Facebook? How can they contact you? Why don't you share your groups and all that stuff where people can find you?
Okay, the group is secret, and we're kind of picky about who's in it because it's people who have had similar experiences, and it's a support group. But I have a page on Facebook. It's Penney Bradley, Nachtwaffenpilot, and that's spelled NACHTWAFFEN. And I have a website that's a forum for, old school forum, like the Chans. And it's Space Portals with an S .net. I'm sorry. Spaceportals.net.
.net. And
it's free. We're letting people in. The basic rules are don't be an ass.
But in your other group, your support group, how many people are going through emotional issues too from what they have gone through?
My support group has just over 3,000 members, and we admins guesstimate that at least half of them have some sort of black ops experience that they're dealing with. Most of us have 20 to 50% recall, and it can be pretty rough some days. Especially when a bunch of us have all been abducted the same night and we come in grumpy.
Their age groups in that your Facebook group for the support. What do the ages run?
We try to keep them 18 or older, and I'm one of the older ones at 63. We have a handful that are older than me, but most of them are in their 40s.
How about suicide rate?
That seems to be when they're remembering.
Now, in your group, support group, has there been much in suicide or anything like that because of remembering what they had to go through?
No, we have had 3 people that I know of that were killed by agencies. And when that happens, I remind everybody